Hello. Now, I think you are ready. Now we have to, this is the second session. Second session, we are going to do this. I'll take a minute to, yes. We are going to do the develop schedule. I think we have, I have given two PowerPoint presentations. The long one earlier. This is, and there's a short one also recently given. I'll get the two. This is the original one given to you, develop schedule, PowerPoint presentation. I think you can see this one, and you have this one also. So here, this one actually focused on many things, but here, these inputs and all these outputs and all these things we have been talking in many these processes. But here now today I'm going to focus on this precedence diagram. That is the most important thing. So that is why I'm not following this one. I'm following the other one, other presentation. The second one I sent you. It is very simply I have written down. So you can go through very easily, and I'll follow that one. Here, for anything you can uh, go to this one and read. You have to read this one also, but I have taken some important points and very required things to that one. It's very simple. It's not complicated. But you have a lot of literature here, but that one very few literature, but it's very useful and it's a summarized thing. I will go through from that one, not this one. So I'll come to that one without sharing this one. This is the one we are going to take up today, the develop schedule, tools and techniques. So when you come to the, I will just explain the basics of this. Now we have the development. Now we have come across these all defined activities. Finally we calculate in the morning the time durations, 3 methods. So we use that one to calculate the time durations. Now we have calculated the time. Now we have everything. All the ammunitions are there. Now we are going to develop the schedule. Now it is the process. The most important thing is the development schedule. That is the one we are targeting in this schedule management process. So develop schedule, you have a lot of inputs. To develop the schedule, you need project management plan. Out of that one, schedule management plan, scope based. You know these things we have learned earlier, even in our first lessons. Schedule management plan, scope baseline, then project documents. You need activity attributes, activities, all these things. Time duration calculations. So we got all these. And we need here also activity lists, assumption logs, basic estimates calculated from the time calculation process, schedule calculation process, duration estimates, then lessons learned, milestones we have gathered. So to develop the schedule, you need milestones. A project schedule network diagram, project team assignment, all these things are input to this develop schedule process. So I'm not going to waste time on these things. Those are, you can read and understand, because we have coming through different processes. We have some order of coming to this up to develop schedule process. So all these inputs. So then there can be, other than that, there can be agreements. Now there can be agreement with different organizations. agreements. So we can have, there can be agreement. So if you are doing construction, you can have agreement with the electricity board, motor board, or the local authority. So certain requirement we have to, sometimes we'll have to satisfy certain requirements when we are developing something. Say we are erecting or constructing a supermarket or something near the roadway. We will have some agreement with the water board, electricity board, telecommunication. Why? We are getting the services, so we will have agreements with them. So likewise, we need the agreements as in, so because these agreements give some conditions. So you need agreements. So then again, as usual, enterprise environment factors and organization process, that you know all these things. You the other PowerPoint presentation, you can go, if you want, you can go through this one. So but now here I'm focusing on the tools and techniques, because that is the most important part of developing schedule, and that is the one you are asked in most of the exams and all that. So the outputs also. Now, what are the tools and techniques? The schedule network analysis, critical path method, resource optimization, data, and all these things I am teaching you. Not big things, but just to understand the thing. Very, very, very easy. But you have to work out few problems. That's the thing, because this is a mathematical part. The data analysis, what if scenario analysis, simulation, lead and lag, schedule compression, all these things are, you have big words, but the concept behind this is very small. Project management information system and agile release planning. Those are the tools and techniques we are using in developing the schedule. So so we will be learning these things in depth. So, and the output will be schedule baseline. Finally, you get the output after getting the inputs and applying these tools and technicals, you get this output. Schedule baseline, project schedule. This is what we expect now. In the develop schedule process, what you expect is coming to the output. You have the schedule baseline, project schedule. We are developing the schedule. So schedule data, project calendar, change request, project management plan. Then you update everything, schedule management plan, cost baseline, all this. Then project document updates. Always you do document updates is finally you are doing in every process. So this is the simple Ito diagram for develop schedule process. So we are concentrating on the tools and techniques here. That is the most important part, and I prefer to do it in a class, but it doesn't the situation doesn't permit for me to do that. But we will. That's why I prepared another this PowerPoint presentation with the simple. Um, simplified that one. So this is the, now when you come to the precedence diagram, so this is the when you see this one, this is a network diagram. You see item 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So after now you do the item 10, then 30, likewise these arrows gives the next. This is I just explaining. I'm taking to the cover page, but it's a schedule. You can see items are the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 10 goes to 30, 3 months time. You will complete and do the 30. It's like that. Starting from excavation, concreting, 3 months, like that. It's a schedule, whatever it is. When you see this network, this is a network diagram schedule. So one after the other. What is the activity? Then after that, you get this one. Likewise, these are the deliverables: excavation, concreting, likewise brickwork, it's going like that. So we are developing a precedence diagram. What is the precedence diagram? It's a it's a method of I will tell you. It's a very simple thing. You have to understand. These are some method of doing that. What does the precedence diagram do? It give all the details. That means when you take a uh, activity, you have these type of thing. I will explain later. Just understand the these notations. ES is early start. So you can have an activity. The activity can have an early start. And also activity can have a late start also. I will teach how it happens. Then activity can have early finish as well as it can have late finish. So this is a method of, now when you see this box, you get all the information. You get the early start, you get the early finish, you get the late start, and you get the late finish. And the task, activity name, concreting, excavation, manufacturing, whatever it is, welding, or whatever it is, the activity is here. So the duration comes here. What is the duration? So here he trying to say it's 3 months time. It will be 3 year duration. So this is the float. I will teach all these things. So this box gives this type of thing. Float is the free time available. Free time available is the float. That is the float. So 1 minute. I'm getting a call. Right. Sorry for that. So so this is the notation of the precedence diagram. So you got the activity name, early start, duration, early finish, late finish, float, and late start. So that is it. So then when you come to the critical path method, if you see this one, so now if you can see this one, so it is a wait. So this is a network. That is the when you use this precedence diagram and draw a network, it will be like this. So here you have given a starting, then early start is 1, you see, and they have put the duration 5 with this activity name A. Activity duration is 5. Then this is the early finish date 5. Then late start, float. There is no float, no free time. So late finish. Likewise, you are filling. You don't want to understand now, but this is how the network goes. So this is the activity A, activity B. When you write down activity B, all the details of the activity B is in the this inside the box. But here you can't write like that. That is the advantage of the precedence diagram. You have everything there. You have everything. So that is the important. Then when you come to the I was talking about the float. There are 3 type of floats: the total float, free float, and the critical path. I'll be doing this in a separate sheet. That's I've just identify the terms. Total float is, now you see this one. You don't want to understand this. Total float is this. Now if you see now there are total float. The schedule flexibility is the amount of time that a scheduled activity can be delayed or extended from its early start. That means I am doing it again, but here I am. I will tell you. I should take this diagram. This is the late start. This is the This is the late start. This is the early start. This is the start side. This is the finish side. Late start, early start. Late start minus early start is the total float. If you want to, if you are somebody asked to calculate total float out of precedence diagram, late start minus early start. Okay. Otherwise, late start minus early start, late finish minus early finish. Whatever you get 5. That is how calculate the total float. Nothing to think about that. How to calculate for it? You know how to calculate the total float. Here the total float is 1 minus 1 0, 5 minus 5 0. Then 11 minus 6 5, 15 minus 10 5. In this activity, total float is you can calculate either deducting from this one to this one, or either deducting 10 from the 15. That is also you can. So both you can start side or late side. That is how we calculate the total float. So it's a thing. Then you get what you get. You get the free float. Free float is, and this is a mathematical thing. That's why I'm telling this. Free float is, float is a definition. Free float, how to find float is, I'm explaining. The free float, what you say is, if you take 2 activities, now say B and C activity, B and D activity. මේක ඉවර කරන්නේ early finish ගමු. මේකෙත් early finish ගමු. Right? මේක ඉවර කරන්නේ 10 වෙනිදා. It is now they are completing this B activity 10th. But the D starts 16th. The soon after finishing this one, they don't start. You have a 6 days. That is the free float. You have 6 days free to start this one. That means you are deducting the early start date of the subsequent activity minus early finish of the previous. So 16 minus 10 is free float. 11 minus 6 is the total float of B activity. That is the thing. So how do you get these things is a different. I will explain this. How do you get these numbers? How to get the early start, late start, all these things I will explain. Now this, understand this. Out of the network you can do these calculations. If somebody asks the friend, now if you take the precedence diagram, this is the early start, this is the late start, this is the early finish, this is the late finish, this is the activity name, this is the duration of the activity, this is the float, this is the float total. Here this is the total float. Now you see, if you take the B activity, what is the duration? 5 days. What is the start, early start? 6 day. Then early finish 10, late start 11, late finish 15. What is the total float? 11 minus 6 is 5. This is the total float. Otherwise 15 minus 10, it is also 5, the total float. Now if you want to calculate the free float of this one and this one, deducts 10 out of, you can ඉවර වෙන තැනයි අනිත් එක පටන් ගන්න තැන අතර කොච්චර වෙනසක් තියෙනවද? 16 minus 10 is the free float. Now you know how to calculate the total float and free float, and you understood the precedence diagramming method. It's not a different thing. So you understood the method. So once again, if I repeat it, this is the precedence diagram. You have, this is a way of identifying, way of giving the details of the task in a network diagram. Precedence diagram it's a method, a separate method, somebody found by somebody, precedence diagram, but it is very useful one because it's better than this one. Here you have to write outside, here and there, here, but here it's not like that. When the activity comes, everything detail is there. If you want the duration, it's here. If you want the float, it's here. If you want the early start, it's here. If you want the late start, it's here. Early finish here, late finish here. So everything is there. So that is if you illustrate it here with numbers, you can see, you can calculate and see the path. Then now you see you can see like, wait 1 minute. Now you see the activity A, activity B, activity D, and activity C. If you see it from start to finish, there are two paths in this network diagram. Either you have to do A, you start with A, do B, and go to D. That's a one way. Otherwise, start with A, do C, and go to D. That is a, there are two paths. But however, you have to do B and C also. Two activities are in the project. But there are two paths. If you see the duration of this path, A, C, D path, what is the duration? Here 5, here 10, here 15. What is the duration? 25. If you take the, 5, 10, 15 is 30, this part. If you take this part, 5, 5, 15, 25. From this part, you have 30 days. From this part, 25 days. What is the meaning of that? Even this is completed in 25 days, this is not completed because it takes 30 days. So what is the required time then? ඒ කියන්නේ 25 කරද්දි 30 කරලා නැහැනේ, මේක කරලා නැහැනේ. එතකොට මේක ටයිම් එක කියලා අරගෙන වැඩක් තියෙද? මේක ඉවර නැහැනේ. එහෙමනම් අපි ගන්න ඕනේ මේක තමයි. මේක තමයි ටයිම් එක. මොකද 30 වෙනකොට 25 එක ඉවරයි කොහොමද? So you call this the critical path. You call this the critical path. This is not the critical path because critical path gives the longest time duration. So this is 30, this is 25. That means once you finish this one, this is not finished. So once you finish this one, this is finished. So take the longest path. So ACD is the critical path. Those are the definitions I am telling you. These things are definitions, float definitions, precedence diagram definitions, all these things are like that. So free float is the amount of time that a scheduled activity can be delayed without delaying the early start date of any success, that I will explain. Critical path is normally characterized by 0 total float on the critical path. That also I will explain. So here, this is the float, total float. Here, this is the total float. This is the total. In this one, there's a 5 total floats. But if you take the critical path, there are no total floats. So you can say in the critical path, total float is 0, 0, 0, 0. Here 5 is there. So that way also you can find the critical path. If the float is 0, you connect all these things, that will be the critical path. So that is also there. So I think now it is not the way. We will go to a example. Then only you will understand. Now up to now, if you have find any difficulty, I can explain you. But when you do a example, I have example. I have sent a paper example. So we will do that one. Then you will understand how to calculate this the precedence diagram method. So Any answer? Okay. There's a request to explain again, so I'm explaining it again. Now, again, I'll go to the other one. Now I'll explain from this. This is easier. So here, now we are going to find the tools and techniques for developing schedule, because inputs and outputs you can read and understand, because it's understanding what do you want for the as the inputs and outputs. So the most important thing is tools and techniques, because if you are going to work out a problem in the exam, so these things normally we know means we can understand, read and understand. If you want more details, you can go through the previous PowerPoint presentation, the first PowerPoint presentation on develop schedule. Now, this is very important because we have some mathematical part. So, you will find, normally you will find question on develop schedule. So, it is very important to learn thoroughly this one. So, the tools and techniques are schedule network analysis. It is this. We are not talking too much on this one. So critical path methods, this one we are going to discuss. That is the precedence diagram method we are going to discuss. Then resource optimization we are going to discuss. Then data analysis we are going to just illustrate these things. Leads and lags you have learned. Schedule compression, very easy thing I will explain. Then those things we are going to learn now. Tools and techniques are very important. So uh, out of this one, now we are going to do these critical path method. So for that we are learning a new technique, new method, new device, that is precedence diagram. It is a thing very easily used by everybody in the projects, because this is the, even you get a computer the software packages, you go to the calculations are under this precedence diagram method. So this is a very important thing. So this is the notification of the precedence diagram for the task. This is the task activity. This is the activity or task. Activities, say A or B or C or excavation or concreting or whatever task, you have a duration for that. For the concreting, you have 10 days. That is the duration. So this is the start date. There's an early start date. It can start on first. That is early start. Sometimes it can start on because of the if you go through the network, sometimes this task can be adjusted. තව ටිකක් පහුවෙලා පටන් ගන්නත් පුළුවන් ඒ වගේ. මොකද ඔක්කොම ඇනලයිස් කළා. ඒ ඇනලයිස් කරන හැටි මම කියන්නම්. තාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගත්තේ නැහැ ඒක. එතකොට ඒක බලපුවාම තව ලේට් ස්ටාර්ට් එක ගැන හිතන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ තව ටිකක් පරක් වෙලා. මේක පළවෙනිදා පටන් ගන්න උඩ දිගටම බලපුවාම මේක පස්සෙන්දා පටන් ගත්තත් ඇති. That is the late start. So you get the duration. Then early finish. If you do the early start, you have a duration. Then that is the early finish. If you start lately, there's a duration. Then late finish. Early start තියෙනවා කරන කාලයක් තියෙනවා early finish එකක් තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ අර මම කියව දේ late start එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒ activity එකට දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න පුළුවන් බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් duration එකක් තියෙනවා එතකොට late finish එකක් එන්නේ so it is the late finishes and early finish early start so this is the start side this is the finish side so precedence diagram means everything. If you see this box, you can understand a lot of things. So duration, you know, these things. Then float. What is the float? Float is the free time. Floating වෙන float වෙන time එක. Float වෙවි ඉන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මැද තියෙනවා ඉඩක්. Tight නෑ. මේක ඉවරච්ච ගමන් අරක පටන් ගන්න ඕන කියලා නෑ. මැද ඉන්න පුළුවන් time එකක් තියෙනවා. අරක පටන් ගන්න දවස් තුනකින් ඔය පොඩ්ඩක් float වෙවි ඉන්න. That's a floating time. There are two types of floating. That is the free float and the total float. Total float is calculated by this one. පහුවෙලා පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කිව්වනේ. එතකොට මේ පහුවෙලා පටන් ගන්න කොච්චර පහුවෙලා පටන් ගන්න ඕනද කියන පුළුවන්ද කියන එක තමයි that is the total float. ඕ කොච්චර පහුවෙලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්ද. Late finish to early finish. Or late start to early start. That is the total float. The free float you are not marking anywhere here. Free float is when you take two activities මේ ඉවර වෙන දවසේම මේක පටන් ගන්න නැහැ. ඒක 16 පටන් ගන්න. So you have time. ඔය ඉන්න පුළුවන් ටික දවසක්. What is that time? 5 days. That is a free float. That is a free float. That's all here. Then when you come to the critical path analysis, what is the critical path? Critical path is normally zero. No. What is the critical path is when you calculate these dates, this will completed 30 days. This path, ACD path. ABD path, 25 days. So can you take this time? Can you take this time? No, because විසිපහ වෙනකොට මේක ඉවර නැහැනේ. So you can't take this. So you have to take this. This is the critical time. That means by this date, by 30 days, this is finished. It takes only 25 days and this is also finished. So when you come to here, finish, everything is finished if you take these dates. If you give the duration, the final duration 25, what will happen? This will complete in the 30th day. So you can't say finish. So you take the longest path. That longest path has free zero total float. So that is the critical path. So the total float is zero. That is an indication for the critical path. So these are the things. The lot of definitions and understanding only. Now, if you know this one, understood very well. If you understood very well, so you're through. Now you have to work out some problems. Okay. Now what is the question now? So tell me, is it okay? Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Now I can go. I will go to the examples. Good. Okay. Okay. Now we are coming to the precedence diagramming methods. Now you have to give your fullest attention to this one. This is very important. Precedence diagramming method. Now this is a network. If you are given an item and if you are given activities and durations and everything, so this is a way of drawing some other way, but it's the same, same. So it's some different is there, but early start, early finish, late start, late finish, but they have put the duration top. So it's a different way, but better you use my notification for the exam what I have given in the presentation PowerPoint, but it's I took from the internet, so they have using the different method, right? So all right, if you understand, that's enough. So you better use the other one, because I am normally asking in the exams the other the method. So here this one the same, whatever it is you have written down here. One thing here, the disadvantage, you are writing on top of this. Oh, that's a disadvantage. But I don't know whether uh, you see. Yeah, it's like that. Come on, come on. It's okay. But here this article is good. Precedence diagramming method is a visual representation technique which is used to prepare the project schedule network diagrams and determine the critical path. That's it. What you are asked is also that if you are given a network diagram, if you go through the last paper, you are given a diagram, you are asking simple question. What is the total float? What is the free float? You have to just to calculate, add and subtract. එකතු කරන්න අඩු කරන්න විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. If you understand the system, it is a matter of adding and subtracting. So that's not a problem. You don't get a big problem out of this. So best thing is to understand this. How do you get the time? How do you add the time? What is the early start? What is the early finish? What is the late start, late finish? Those things you have to uh, understand. That's all. Understanding only you will have simple question. Precedence diagramming method is a visual representation technique. කියන්නේ මේ visual. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ network එකක් අපි දැන් මේ වගේ එකක් බලපුවාම you get the idea නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ඔය ගයක් හදනවා නම් මේ ටික දාලා තිබ්බම අපි හොඳටම දන්නවා කොච්චර දවසෙන් පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්ද වෙන්න. All these things you are getting all these things. So what you have to understand is the network diagram and the attributes. I mean, attributes and the durations, so everything you have to understand. So this is not a big thing, visual representation technique only. Then your important thing is to calculate the critical path. So this is the precedence diagram. The main advantage of precedent diagram method is that it demonstrates the activity relationship. This article review a precedence diagram method example and analyze the basics. So this article is good because last time also I did this one because it gives all the method of calculating. You can go through very simple and it's good also. The only thing is the way we are drawing is somewhat different, but you practice that one. Your exercise is draw all these things in the your way of doing that. Then easy for your examination also. So whatever it is, you by looking at this one, you draw in your that box and you mark all these things. So that is an exercise for you. You will understand. Then you will understand it. This type of questions you can't just read and go to the exam and answer, but you have to work out. These are mathematical questions, so you have to answer mathematics. There's no the difficult mathematics, adding and subtracting, so that is not a problem also. So uh, it is critical for a project manager to realize the activity relationships because it is important while preparing the network diagram and then creating the project schedule. For better understanding, let's analyze the example below and follow the steps. දැන් අපි කරන්න යන්නේ example එකක්. එතකොට මේකේ ගත්තාම මේකේ ගත්තාම මෙන්න තියෙනවා පටන් ගන්න දවසක් නෑ නේද? Right. මේ තියෙන අපි ඒකම තමයි දිගටම යන්නේ. මේකේ ඩියුරේ A කියලා ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ network එක ඉස්සලාම you have to understand the network. We'll try to understand the network now. There's an activity called A. From the activity A, you are doing two things. You are doing the activity B. After completing the activity A, you can do B. And now at the same time, you are starting the C activity also. After 7 days. After completing, you know this the relationships. We have done that sequencing. කරන්නේ legs එන්නේ කොහොමද for can you remember uh, finish to start to start, all these things you know. So after finishing A1, you are doing C and B. You start C activity, the parallelly you are doing C and B work. So that you start, then this side. So C activity takes 10 days. After 10 days you start D1. So B activity take 15 days. After B activity after finish, starts F activity. It takes 17 days, D take 12 days. Then after completing D and completing F, you can start H. And after completing D, you can start G. So for the G, you don't want to wait for F because it is directly from D. Those are the understanding. Now, to start H1, so to start H, you need to complete D and F. That you have to understand. This is what it says. Network diagram. But to start G, you don't want to complete F, but you have to complete D. This is the understanding. So you start G, you start H. For G, you get you take 6 days. For H, you take 11 days. After completing G and H, you will do the I. I took 13 days and finished the work. So this is the understanding. You start with A, finishing with A, I. So if I repeat it again, you start with A activity. Say excavation or whatever it is activity. So it takes 7 days. Then after completing A activity, you start B and C. B and C. So C take 10 days, B take 5 days. Then after completing C, you can start D. After completing B, you start F. After completing D, you can start G and H. After completing F, you can start H. But G doesn't depend on F. It's separate. After finishing D, you can start G. You don't want to wait until this is finished because it's a after D, straight away you can start this one. But after finishing D and F, only you can start H. This one take 6 days. This one took 11 days. After finishing G and H, you can start I. This is the understanding. This is the network diagram. So logically, you have to, first thing when you see a network diagram, you have to understand what it is. So now you can see now. Now I am not going to explain now, but you just imagine now there are two paths. Duration there can be a critical path also. So we have to by looking at the network, we have to somehow calculate the critical path. Why? Critical path is the, now we know what is critical path. It has the zero total for, there should be total. Now if you somebody asks to calculate the critical path, one way we can do is we can calculate all the details here, and we can see what is the zero float. That will be the critical path. Then we will say ACD GI critical path, O ABFHI critical path, whatever it is we can say. So we know what to do now, how to calculate and what to do we know. So this is the, when you see a network diagram, those things you have to get into your mind. දැන් මේව මට කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේක මම දන්නවා මෙහෙමයි වෙන්නේ. මට දැන් මේකේ ඔක්කොම early finish ඔක්කොම මේ කොටු ටික පුරවා ගත්තයිනේ. කොටු පුරවා ගත්තට පස්සේ critical path આવුවොත් මට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? Zero float තියෙන path එක අරගෙන A B C F H I is the critical path. එච්චරයි. You get the full marks. Very simple. It's not a difficult thing. Only thing is you have to understand the diagram and fill the blanks. Filling the blanks. So all the details are there. So that is what we are going to do. Now if somebody asks the total float, yes, we can calculate. How? We have the early finish, early start. මේකේ total float එක ඔන්න calculator මේකෙන් මේක අඩු කරා නැත්නම් මේකෙන් මේක අඩු කරලා මෙතන දැම්මා. මේකේ total float එක හොයන්න කිව්වොත් මේකෙන් මේක අඩු කරා මේකෙන් මේක අඩු මෙතන දැම්මා. ඔහොම total float අපිට හොයන්න පුළුවන්. මොකක් හරි activity what is the total float of G? පුළුවන්. මේවා දන්නවනම් we can do it. That is how you do. Then what happen is somebody asked the free float. Yes, free float of what? C and D free float. What is the free float? මේක ඉවර වෙන්නේ කවදද? පස්වෙනි. මේක ඉවර වෙන්නේ කවද්ද? 17 වෙනි. මේක පටන් ගන්නේ කවද්ද? 20 වෙනිදා. there's a මේකයි මේක අතර ඩිෆරන්ස් එක. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක ඉවර වෙලා තව ටික කාලයක් ඉන්න පුළුවන් මේක පටන් ගන්න. අන්න that is the free float. Those things you have to understand, right? This is the when I am without going to the other part of the literature, so I am asking you to understand this is how you think about the network, right? How is this? Okay. Okay, right. You understood that. Okay, good. Okay. That's a simple thing. So we'll go ahead. Okay, now you see. Yes, precedence diagram method PDM. Example. In this example, now අපි බලමු මොකද මෙයා කියන්නේ කියලා. A B C D F G H I A B C D F G H I are the activities. Numbers above the boxes are the duration. So again, these are the durations. Activity B is the predecessor. Those things you have learned. Activity B is the predecessor activity that logically comes before a dependent activity F. You see the literature. Activity B is a predecessor activity that logically comes before the dependent activity F in this network. B is the predecessor to F, and F is the successor to B. You got the point? You know, predecessors, successors, those things you have learned. Predecessor to F, and F is the successor to B. So B is the predecessor activity that logically comes before the dependent. This is a dependent activity. Because why dependent? You have to complete B, otherwise you can't start F. So dependent. මේක මත රඳා පවතින. මේක මත යැපෙනවා. So the dependent. They are dependent activities. It's true. They are dependent because without completing B, you can't start F. So F is dependent on B. B is the predecessor of F. I think you understand. Activity F is the successor activity. E is dependent activity that logically comes after the activity F. Activity F is the successor activity. It's a dependent activity that logically comes after the activity B. Should be B, not F. Not F, it's B. Okay. So there is a FS relationship between activity B and F. Okay. Then those are the B and F relationship dependency. What is the dependency of B and F? Finish to start. Finish to start. Without finishing the B activity, you can start F. So it's about finishing. That's what it says. It's very clear. There is a FS relationship between activity B and F. So it's very clear. Okay. Now it is an explanation to the network. This is the understanding. The most important thing is that when you get a network diagram in any place, first thing is you have to understand, spend time, 5 minutes. හොඳට understand කරන්න. විනාඩි 5ක් දුන්නට කවන්න එකට. හොඳට network එක ඔලුවට දාගන්න. මේක ඉවර වෙනකොට මේක එන්නේ ඇවිල්ලා තියතියා you go to now it goes like this after this is the predecessor successor to activities. So it is like that. It has a 10 මේක ඉවර වෙනවා. It was C has to finish and go to D, B, D. When you see this relationship, you should know. Finish to start relations. Here, FS relationship. FS relationship. All access. Here, this one. What is this one? Those things you should know. What is this one? G and H. Finish at
Start to start.
yes.
Start to start.
G and H activity finishing at the go. Now this one, you see this one, C and B. C and B starting after finishing A. Okay. Okay. Now this one, I starts after finishing
G and H.
G and H. So G and H is finishing at time. So those are the relationships you have to understand. So this is the network precedence. So you relate it. So if you have forgotten these relationships, you have to go to the sequencing activities again, and you have to calculate lags, leads, what are the lags, leads, and like that. You have to go through all these things. So it is very useful for this one because you should understand that first. I have normally you get finish to start most of the time. Finish to start, start to finish you don't get වැඩිම නෑ උනාට, but finish to finish, start to start, those things are common. So those things you have to learn. එතකොට මේකේ that is the thing. Then medium forward pass. Now you learn two things because now you have to find early dates, early start, early finish. You have to find. Right? At the same time, you have to find late starts. So the precedence diagramming technique is this. If you want to calculate the early dates, you have to do the forward pass method. If you want to calculate the late start and late finish dates, you have to come backward pass. This is a technique, very simple technique. Forward pass is this. Go this way. Backward pass is come this way. Forward pass, backward pass. When doing the forward pass, you get all the early things. Early day, early start, early finish, early start, early finish, like that. Backward pass, you get late start, late finish, late start, late finish, and in the backward pass. This is a method of doing that one. It's a calculation procedure. So you learn that one. What is the forward pass? Now the same network we are having. So this is the forward pass calculation. You start now here, starting date, you put 0. That's the calendar date, say 0 date starting. Okay. Then පටන් ගන්න දවස් අපි 0 කියලා දානවා. Then you finish this one 7 because duration is 7. Okay, you got the point? පටන් ගත්තා මේ activity එක පටන් ගත්ත තැන 0 කියලා දාන්න පටන් ගන්න තැනනේ. ඊට පස්සේ දවස් 7ක් ගියා. 7 ඉවර කරා. දවස් 7න් යන්නේ 7 වෙනි දවස් ඉවරයි. මේක මොකද වෙන්නේ? 7 වෙනි දවසේ පටන් ගත්තා. මේක 7 වෙනි දවසේ පටන් ගන්නවා. මේකේ තියෙන්නේ එහෙම මේ 7 වෙනි දවසේ පටන් ගන්නවා. එතකොට දවස් 10 යන්නේ 17 ඉවර කරනවා. Right? Then what happened is 17th ඉවර වුණා. ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. 17 මේක පටන් ගත්තා. මේක ඉවරයි. ඉවර වුණාම මේක පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. 17 පටන් ගත්තා. You ඒකට 12 days. You have to spend 12 days. So it is finishing 29th day. This starts 29th date. 6 days එකතු කරන්න 35. 35 යන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ right? ඊට පස්සේ මේ පැත්තෙන් එන්න. මේ පැත්ත කොහොමද යන්නේ? මේක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ 0 7. ඊට පස්සේ මෙතෙන්ට 7 පටන් ගත්තා. 15ක් යනවා 22යි ඉවර වෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ 22 පටන් ගත්තා 17ක් යනවා 39 ඉවර වෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේක මොකද කරන්නේ? මේක ඉවරෙන්න මේක ඉවරෙච්ච ගමන් පටන් ගන්නවා. 39 පටන් ගත්තා 11ක් යනවා මේක 50 ඉවර වෙන්නේ. You see now this will be finished on 35th. date. This is 50th. So when can you start this one? 35 or 50? It should be 50, no? If you start this one 35, what will happen? This is not finished, no? But the network says both has to be finished to start this one. So you have to think that one and put 50 here. 13 days, 60, 63, 63rd day, every work is over. That's how you calculate. If you put it to 35, what will happen? This is not finished now. Without finishing this one, you can't start this one. But if you put 50 here, by that time, this is already finished. That is 35th day, it was already finished. So you have to wait for until this is finished. So if you put 50, that is good. Then 30, 60, is finishing 30, 63rd day. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Understood, no? Very simple,
Yes.
simple adding. But it is simple adding, but very easy to. This is the question, precedence diagram. It is very long. When you see the exam paper, you get scared because a lot of things, they are down one page sometimes. But very simple answer. 2 pages. Within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can finish the question. If you know this properly, that is the first question to actually touch, because you will be happy within few, you are saving time. So you should know this very well. If you understand this one, nothing is there. If you understand, nothing. So now we come to now we have forward pass calculation finished. Everything is finished now. Forward pass is over. Now we'll come to the backward pass. Now we have calculated early. Now here the activity A, early start 0, early finish 7. Activity C, early start 7, early finish 17. Early 17 by early. These are early. Make up average ගාම පටන් ගන්න යනවා මේ. 29 ඉවර කරා 29 පටන් ගත්තා 35. මෙතෙන් එනකොට වෙනසක් එනවා මේක හින්දා. මේක that is a different. මේක මෙතන logically හිතන්න ඕන. Always you have to think logically නේ. මම මෙතන 35යි මම මේක මෙතනින් නවත්තලා මෙතෙන් දැම්මේ නැහැ. මොකද මෙතෙන්ට එනකොට තව පැත්තකින් එනවනේ. මේකෙන්ද මෙතනින් නවත්තුවා. මේක 35යි දාලා මේක 35යි දාලා 13 එකතු කරලා මේක දැම්මේ නැහැ. එවනම් වරදිනවා. මොකද මම ඒක that you have to think. When you come to here, you can see another side, another network is coming this side. So you have to compare this one because you have to complete these two to start this one. So that is the way you have to think. So backward pass. Backward pass calculation determine the latest dates by which each activity can be performed without increasing the project minimum duration. The later date, that's what I say. Now it says it starts 7, but when you check the network, sometimes even 10th day, it is okay like that. So that is, you are not going to do anything change into the network, total duration, but in between, you can adjust something. You can start lately also. So that is what we are going to calculate from the backward pass. Backward pass calculation determine the latest dates, by which each activity can be performed without increasing the project minimum duration. Project again minimum duration, again that is the minimum duration is the critical path. You get critical whatever critical path. We didn't calculate the critical path. එකේ තියෙන එක duration එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැතුව ඇතුළේ adjust කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Again total duration එක it doesn't change the total duration, but in between you can adjust. පොඩි floats තියෙනවා. That is the one we learned by backward. So what is the backward one? This is the backward. You start 63 here. Finish date එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න. Then it is 50 because it takes 13 days. No? So when it's 50, so that means you have to finish 50. So 11, so did a 50 minus 11, so it has to be started 39. So come here 39. So it is finish 39. Make a finish කරපුවාම මේක පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Finish 39 17ක් අඩු කරා 22 තමයි පටන් ගන්න වෙන්නේ. මේ activity එක. ඉවර කරන්න වෙන්නේ 39 මොකද 39 මේක පටන් ගන්න හින්දා දැන් මම 17ක් අඩු කරා 22යි. Now it is 22nd. 15 අඩු කරා 7යි Okay, it's 7 and 7 0. This way nothing. So මෙහි පැත්තට බලමු මොකද දෙන්නේ කියලා. Here you get 50. Then you put 50 here. Because now to start 50, you finish it 50. Soon after finishing, you start 50. So you put 50 here. Now duration is 6, reduce that one, you can start it 44. Without here, you can understand what I am explaining. Now you see, if you start this activity by 29th, it will be finished by 35th, and you will කච්චර දවස් 15ක් නිකන් ඉන්නේ. මේ පැත්ත කැල්කියුලේෂන් එක මොකද කරේ? මේක 50 ඉවර වෙන්න නම් මේක 44 පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට. And see, you see the difference. You can start it, even you start that 44th day, you can finish it by 50 because only 6 days you are getting. So that is the backward calculation. So you see, understanding is this: if you start this 29, the early days, you will finish it by 35th, and you're idling. You have to wait until this is finished. So now, if you finish it on 50, like this one, 50th, that means you can start this one. You don't want to hurry. You can start slowly. You can start on 44th day. This one. So that is the understand. So likewise, you go this way. So this is 49. So now here this is 39. So here this one. Now here, when you come to this one, there are two things you have to consider: 44, 29, 39, 39. So you can't wait for the 39 because it has to be 39, because here you can't finish this one 44, because soon after finishing 44 you can't start this one. So it has to be 39 here. මෙතන 44 දැම්මොත් ඒවා මේක 44 මෙතන 44 කියලා මොකද වෙන්නේ? මේක බෑ, මේක 39 පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. මෙතන 44 දාලා බෑ. මේක දෙක කම්පෙයාර්, මේ දෙකම මේකෙන් පස්සේ පටන් ගන්න. එහෙම හින්දා මේ දෙකෙන් අඩු එක තමයි මෙතන දාන්න 39. මොකද 39 ඉවර කරොත් විතරයි මේක පටන් ගන්න. මේක ටික දවසක් ඉඳලානේ පටන් ගන්න. ඒක 44 වෙනි දවසේ පටන් ගන්න. ඒ වුණාට මෙතන 44 දැම්මොත් මේක කොහොමද පටන් ගන්නේ? මේක 39 වෙනකොට පටන් ගන්න තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් you have to put not only 44 here, you have to put 39 here. So now 39 here, reduce 12, it will come 27 here. So now this is a one network now, 27, 27 here, minus 10, 17. Then what will happen? 17 here, 17 minus. So this one you can't change. There's a start one. So it will be 7. That means when now this is the first activity now. So you 7th day you are finishing it, whatever it is. Now whatever it is, after finishing the 7th day, you can wait 10 days to start this one. If it is late time also available. So that is the thing. So if you come to this one, there's no difference. So this is the backward pass calculation. Little bit concentration should be there, and understanding. Your concentration is the most important. Just you can't adu kar nikan dagan yanda bෑ. You have to one by one you have to calculate. So when you say the backward pass, it is very important. Backward pass එකේ මෙතෙන්ට ආවා. ඊට පස්සේ මෙතෙන්ට ආවා. එතකොට මේ දෙකට දාපු ගමන් ඊට පස්සේ මේ දෙකේ එනවා, මේ දෙකෙන් මේකට එන්නේ. මේකෙන්නේ මේ දෙකට එන්නේ. එතකොට මේ දෙකේම ටැලි වෙන්න ඕන මෙතන දාන එක. එතකොට ඒක හරියට දා ගන්නවා. So likewise you calculate the backward. So now this is the complete network. You have the forward pass and backward. Now it is calculation of floats. It's easy. Now the network is there. And now you come to the float. Before coming to the float activity, Sana, you tell me whether you're okay. Okay, no? Yeah, good. I think you understand me. These are simple mathematics, no? Okay. Right. Okay. So now you did the forward pass and the backward pass. Both you did. So that was all right. Now you have the network. You completed networks. Now it is a matter of calculating certain parameters. That is the thing asked in the exams normally. So what things? Total calculations, total float, free float, critical path. That's all. So now the network is ready. Now you calculate. Float calculation. This is the network. Now you're coming to the float calculations. Now you're coming to the float calculations. Now you see here what is for float is, now I explained earlier, float is the what you write here is the total float. Now here this is the float. Precedence diagram method is the float calculation. Diagram method float. Total float is the amount of time that an activity can be delayed. Activity can be delayed without delaying the project completion. Then even within even backward calculation, whatever it is, the final date of completion didn't change. Now here final completion, even from the forward, no backward, not changed. Sorry. So project duration has been not changed. So the float is, total float is, without change in the project duration, what are the things you can adjust? The float is the amount of time that the activity can be delayed. Adjust. You see, this activity C, you can start 7 and complete at 63, third day. Otherwise, you can start the 17th also and complete at the 63rd day. So what is the problem? So you can start. So here the float is, here there is a float, 17 minus 7 or 27 minus 17, 10. Float is 10. What is the total float is late start minus early start or late finish minus early finish. Make a, that is a float. So what is the, here float is 0. What is the float here? 39 minus 20 or 27 minus 17 is 10. What is the float here? 44 minus 29 or 50 minus 35 is 15. What is the float here? 39 minus 39, 0, 50 minus 50, 0. Here 50 minus 50, 0, 50, 60 minus 0. Now, without going to, now you see, now float calculation, you will write the floats here. Now in that diagram, you don't want to write outside. You can write in the box float. මෙතන අර කොටුව මෙහෙම තිබ්බේ මෙතන පුළුවන්. යන්න. එතකොට ඩියුරේෂන් එක උඩ යට කොටුවේ මෙතන දැන් මේක අරකේ මෙහෙමනේ ඇඳලා තිබ්බේ. එතකොට මෙතන ඩියුරේෂන් එක මෙතන ෆ්ලෝට් එක. early start, early finish, late start, late finish ඒවා එහෙමයි. කොටුව වෙනස් වෙනවා පොඩ්ඩක් හැඩේ වෙනස් වෙනවා. එච්චරයි. That's no problem. So you can see there's a path. Every float is 0. See? That is the critical path. When total float is 0, now this is not a critical path because we have the float. Yeah, A, B, F, H, I is the critical path. Float is 0. Very simple. So this is mathematics. Total float can be calculated by early start date of an. Total float is the amount of time that an activity can be delayed without delaying the project. Total float is 0 on the critical path. Total float is 0 in the critical path. Yeah. This is the critical path. They're making question. What is the critical path? A, B, F, H, I is the critical path. So it's simple as that. So this calculation is not that different. So you can score in your exam this one. So critical path. Yeah, this is the critical path. When you can calculate float 0, 0, 0, yeah. A, B, F, H, I is the critical path. Precedence diagram method, critical path. When we analyze the network diagram, we will see that there are some paths and every path have durations. The critical path is the longest path in the network diagram and total float of critical path is 0. Total float is 0. Total float is 0. Another thing you have to make it. Critical path is the longest path in the network. Longest path can duration 7යි 15යි 17යි 11යි 13යි. මේ කියන duration එක වැඩි. මේකේ ගත්තම 7යි 10යි 12යි 6යි 13යි. එතකොට මේකේ duration වැඩි ෆ්ලෝට් එක 0. ඒ දෙකෙන්ම හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකද්ද ක්‍රිටිකල් පාත් එක. හුඟක් ලේසියෙන් වැඩි තමයි ෆ්ලෝට් එක කැල්කියුලේට් කරන්න. otherwise the duration එක වැඩි මේකේ. you see 7යි මේ එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේ මේකේ duration එක 7යි මේකේ 15යි 17යි 11යි 13. ඔය ටික එකතු වුණාම මේක duration වැඩි. මේකේ duration 7යි 10යි 12යි 6යි මේක අඩුයි 13යි. duration එක අඩුයි. එතකොට මේකේ කියනවා the critical path is the longest path. This is the longest. So you get the critical path is the longest path, and at the same time the float is 0. Critical path is the longest path, and at the same time the float is 0. So in this article we review the precedence diagram. So that's the precedence diagram. Then free float. Free float I explained now. Total float and free float definitions are given below. Total float is free float. What is the free float? Free float is early start of the successor minus early finish of the current activity. Free float is different than total float. According to PMBOK guide, free float is the amount of time that scheduled activity can be delayed without delaying the early start date of any successor or violating the schedule constraints. So that is free float is, now here you take this one, early, this you finish 17th, you have to start 17th. So there's no free float here. So when you take this one, 29, 29, there's no free float. Here you have free float, no free float. Here there's a free float. No, 50-50. 50 ඉවර කරා 50 පටන් ගත්තා. There's a free float here. 35 ඉවර කරලා 50 පටන් ගන්නවා. And there's a free float. You finish the activity G by 35th day. But you have to start it 50th day. You have a free float. What is the free float? 50. 50 minus 35. That's the free float. You can wait. You have to wait. That is a free float. Yeah, these things no free float. 29 So this is it. So that is the free float calculation is that. So you have a exercise here. Yes, you can go through. This is an example again. You read it now. You have understood, I think. We can go to the PowerPoint presentation. Hello. Yes. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll go back to your presentation. Understood this one? You got this point? Okay. And you're coming to the resource optimization. So resource optimization, there are two things you have to learn: resource leveling and resource smoothing. Resource leveling, that means so here resource leveling, what you do is, now everything, every programming and everything depend on what you have in hand. The resources are the most important thing. So that is important. What you have is the most important. So because of the your resource constraints, sometimes you will have to change the dates. A technique in which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource constraint. You will have a problem with the resource. So now if you want to complete some work within 3 days, you need 5 resources. But if you have, say, your company has only 3 resources, but then you will have to adjust the dates. Why adjust the date? To suit the requirement and the availability. So that you have to adjust. Otherwise, you have to wait for some other work to be finished. So you have to adjust the starting date. So likewise, you have to think of all these constraints, resource constraints, with the goal of balancing the demand for resources with the available supply. So that is it. So a technique in which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource constraints with the goal of balancing the demand of resources with the available supply. So resource leveling can often cause the original critical path to change. So the original critical path can be changed because of the resource leveling, because we are adjusting the network. Available float is used for leveling resources. So if you have float, you can adjust that one. If there's no float problem, so the critical path will go up. Currently, the critical path through the project schedule may change. If you change some activity in the critical path, now you see the critical path. There are, if this is the, say, if this is the critical path, if you adjust this one, what will happen? Critical path will change. Now here you have 5 days, but if you adjust this one, nothing will happen. You can adjust 5 days because of the in the resource leveling. Because of the resource, you have, but here you can in any activity in the critical path. If you are going to adjust, the critical path will change. But here, since there's a float, you can play with the within the sometimes it is possible to play within the that float 5 days. ඒකට වැඩි යනවා නම් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. 5 day ඇතුළතදී මොනවා හරි කරගන්න පුළුවන් නම් එහෙමෙන් adjust කරලා without changing the critical path, you can adjust it depending on the your float. So resource leveling is that. It's a technique. It's a technique which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource constraints with the goal of balancing the demand of resources with the available supply. Resource leveling is actually done because of your resource availability. Can mini suite now the machine another again. Now here this one, if you take this one, if you take this one, now you see now here this is the activity. Resource leveling current is this, sorry. Resource leveling current is this is the one. Now you see activity A B කියලා දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට activity A එක කරන්න Tom owner, you need Tom and Sue. Tom can work 8 hours. Sue can have to work 8 hours. So for the activity A, Tom will work 8 hours. To finish activity A, Sue will work 8 hours. Then that means you need Tom and Sue, and both need to work 8 hours to complete this job. Tom and Sue together have to work 8 hours to complete the activity A. So that is the activity A in a resource. Those are the resource requirements. Then there's activity B. Activity B, what do you want? To complete activity B, you need Sue, and she has to work 8 hours. So that's the activity B. So now you see there's another activity. Once you finish activity A and B, you have to do activity C. So you have to finish these two to do this one. Both. You have to complete A and B to do C. So C, you need Tom. You need for this one මේක කරන්න Tom ඕන. Tom 8 hours ඕන මේ වැඩේට. Now you see this one. This is day 1, day 2, day 3. Can you do this? How can you do this? Now if you say day 1, you need 8 hours of Tom and 16 hours of Sue. How can she work 16 hours? She has to work on 8 hours per day now. Now this is not realistic. Even you put this one, this is not realistic because Sue, Tom is okay, 8 hours. That is the 8 hours day, 8 hour day, working day. And Sue, double the working day. 16. How can he work 16 hours per one working day? He can't, she can't. So there's a problem with this one. So we have to level resources. Because of the resource availability, you have to change this activity. This diagram, you have to change it. So after leveling, that is called resource leveling. After leveling, you can do like this. Day 1 you can put Tom 8, Sue 8. ඒ 8ට වැඩි වැඩ කරන්න බෑනේ පැයටයිනේ. වැඩ කරන වෙලාව කියන්නේ පැයටයි. So activity A එකට දානවා දෙන්නේ. එතකොට activity A එක complete වෙනවනේ. Because it needs it needs 8 hours plus 8 hours. So activity A is we are completing activity A 1, day 1. Then we have to do however you have to do activity B. Because you have to complete A and B to start seeing it. It was you push this activity B to the second day. Sue 8 hours. You need Sue only for the day 2. You complete activity B because activity B needs Sue 8 hours. So Sue is free this day. So you put in. Then after finishing this one and this two, third day, they use Tom for 8 hours to complete activity C. So now you see, starting from this network, you take this. What happened? Your time duration went up because of your resource constraints. You have no enough resources. So because who has to work 16 hours, that was the problem came. So you shift it. So network, this is resource leveling. This is called resource leveling. Normally in big projects, normally these things done by the computer, resource leveling. So here, so yeah, I think you understood this. Resource leveling is that a technique in which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource constraints with the goal of balancing the demand for resources with the available supply. Available supply. Now, this is the availability of supply, Tom and Sue. Those are the two the skilled people available for these to do this A, B, and C activities. So we have to utilize them properly. So this is not utilized properly because how can the Sue work 16 hours? You can't. So you adjust the activity duration. So that is how you change that one. So then you come to the resource smoothing. Resource smoothing. Resource smoothing is a technique that adjusts the activities of a schedule model such that the requirements for resources on the project do not exceed certain predefined resources. The resource smoothing is a technique that adjusts. Now there's a you can say like this. 1 minute. I can resource smoothing. I think I will explain from the first turn because you will make it product. I'll come to the other one. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so smoothing. Now, resource smoothing, what you can do is you can use your resource in resource smoothing. And of course, to resource leveling, the project's critical path is not changed and the completion date may not be delayed. In other words, activities may only be delayed within their free and float duration. Resource smoothing may not be able to optimize all resources. Resource smoothing, what you do is you put resources. That means resource smoothing you can do unlimited resources, or some company has some resources, you put resources and maintain the critical path. That is what resource smoothing will do. That is what you do is uh, mm, resources දාලා තව unlimited resources moving activities within the free and you mean in this resource smoothing you put some resources. What you do is you put resources and try not to change the critical path. Fix end date down. Or otherwise, if it doesn't happen, try this, but the end date may move out. Otherwise, if the company has limited resources, take some resources, but even that, the put some resources, but the date will be changed. Use fixed and limited available resources, moving activities within their free and float slack. That is possible. You can slack, you can free float time theory. If you have float time, you try to play within that. Otherwise, the end date will go beyond this one. Or otherwise, if you have unlimited resources, put resources and keep the date fixed. So resource smoothing, what you do is you put resources. In leveling, what you have, you don't do anything. What you have available, what you get, or what is available within the available limit resources, you are going to work out. But here, resource smoothing is not that. You are putting some resources. If the company can acquire unlimited resources, you don't want to change the dates, put more resources and complete in time. Otherwise, if you say even your company has some limited resources, put that resources and try to adjust the time if you don't have a floating time. So that is a smoothing. That is how I went to came to this one. You can understand. So that is so resource optimization is two things. One is resource leveling. When you have limited, you have available resources. With the available resource, you are going to adjust the duration. That is resource leveling. In resource smoothing, you smooth the resources. You put some resources and try to work out the time without changing the critical path, or otherwise changing with the flow too. Otherwise, you have to change the time. If the even the company has a limited resources, you will have to sometimes change the date. If you have unlimited resource, you have put all the resources at complete in time. මේකයි 10 දෙනෙක් මිනිස්සු දාලා මේක 10 දෙනෙක් දැම්මොත් එහෙම වෙලාව වෙනස් කරන්න තු ඉවර කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ උනාට කම්පැනිකට දෙන්න පුළුවන් 5 දෙනයි. ඒතර 5 දෙනා දාලා බලනවා ෆ්ලෝට් එක ඇතුලේ වෙනස් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. බයින පොඩ්ඩක් එන්නේ වෙනස් කරන්න. That is it. Resource limited scheduling, time limited scheduling. So this is resource smoothing. මේකෙදි කරන්නේ අපි අරක තමයි. This is leveling, this is smoothing, right? Normally, you first try to smooth, otherwise level, because smoothing, if you have enough uh, resources, why don't you go for leveling and extend the time? What to do is, you put the resources and try to complete in time. If it fail, if you don't have resources, and the limited resources in the company, you put that done and try to move this. So this is leveling, this is smoothing, because this is you can't change. If the resources are fixed, you can't do fix or limited resources. Here this is unlimited, you can do the smoothing. So you try first this one, then go to this one. Right. Then you come to, shall I explain from here? Go to that one. So resource optimization, you have two things, leveling and smoothing. So those things you should have some understanding. Then so data analysis. This is what if scenario analysis. The schedule network analysis. This is like the outcome of the what if scenario analysis can be used to assess the feasibility of the project schedule under the different conditions. And in preparing scheduled reserves and response plans to address the, now you see what now you have put up, you have constructed a schedule diagram network. A schedule network analysis is performed using the schedule to compute the different scenarios, such as delaying of major components delivery, extending specific engineering duration, introducing external factors such as strikes. The what you do in the data analysis is now you have the schedule diagram. You have schedule. You did everything, smoothing, leveling, whatever it is. Finally, you have got something. Now you are doing the analysis. So what if scenario analysis is what if, what 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 happen if this thing happens like that? What is the change if this is happen? What if scenario analysis? That means මෙහෙම දෙයක වෙනස් වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ කියන එක අපි දැන් analyze කරලා බලනවා. That means say there's a strike. So permit process change. Now you see say your soil transport, your permit, you need to get permit. Now permit procedure changes. Now what happened? Then what are you going to do? So whether it happens, how do you manage this network? So likewise, if there's a strike, how do you manage? Can you manage with the float, or what will happen? What are the changes we have to do? So likewise, what if scenario analysis, you try to understand, to analyze, if this thing happens, what will happen next? Likewise, so you identify all these risks early as possible. That is why this what if scenario analysis, the schedule network analysis performed using the schedule to compute the different scenarios, such as delaying a major component delivery, extending specific engineering durations, or introducing external factors such as a strike or change in the permit process. So those are the things, external factors. If there are some external factors, you have to think of that one, and you will have to uh, think of what is the action going to take if such thing happens. What if scenario? So what happened if this thing happens? That is the what am I going to do if this happens? Likewise, you discuss about the risks, how to incorporate these things in the network if that thing happens. So it is a what if scenario analysis. All these things are data. And then simulation. The most common simulation is a Monte Carlo simulation is you are doing, in which risk and other sources of uncertainty are used to calculate possible schedule outcome for the project. It's like this. It's these things actually you just have an understanding because it's highly mathematical. You don't want to statistical this thing. But anyway, this is the one. Now you see, figure shows probability distribution of a project with a probability of achieving the certain target dates. In this example, there is a 10% probability of completing the project by May. May වල ඉවර කරන එක 10% තියෙනවා. Probability. කියන්නේ දැන් අපි we have fixed the date, but you do a simulation. You know the dates, sorry. You know the dates and everything fixed, but you do a simulation and see. You are now you see here risks and other sources of uncertainty you calculate and add to this simulation process. Then the simulation will give the probability of completing by May 10%, probability of completing by 28th 90%. Likewise, it says 10% probability that the project will finish on or before. So the dates are different. So by 28th, there's a possibility of 90%, the probability of 90% completing this one. Otherwise, 13th of May, it's only 10%. So that is how the simulation process goes. So it's highly mathematical. So you should have some understanding. No need to by heart this one. This is a simulation. It's a technique. It's a data analysis. What if scenario? And simulation you do normally in big projects. You do simulation. What are the failures? By this one you can identify. If you plan to do it, say complete by 28th May, the project is to become. But when you simulate, you can see only 90% is possible. Risk and other factors you calculate with the simulation. Even you are planning to complete 28th May, but the chance of completing this is only 90%. 10 plus 89% up to here. So that is there. So that is there can be problems like so. This simulation gives some idea about even we prepare a schedule or whatever it is, the possibility, the probability of completing in that time. It's a probability measure. So this is the simulation is a part of probability measure. So that is highly mathematical, and you don't need to. You just have an understanding. You're not going to do that one. And schedule compression. The other one is the compression. Schedule compression techniques are used to shorten the acceleration. So if you have some time, you try to shorten it by doing two things. What are the two things? One is crashing and one is fast tracking. Either you can crash or fast track. What is crashing? Crashing is now, this is the activity. What is crashing? Crashing, what you do is you increase the resources and lessen the duration. If you do this with 5 laborers, so you put 10 laborers, if it is possible, and reduce the duration. That is crashing. You crash the program. Which happens because if you now you see you have a schedule. When you now you see there are some delays. So what you do is you try to crash certain activities and come to the correct path. So that normally you do. If you are monitoring your monitoring process, you are following this your construction. If it is you see one activity is delaying, what you do is if one activity is delaying, what you do is you put some more resources, some machinery or whatever, or get some subcontractors or whatever, and you crash it. Somehow you crash it and put more resources and complete. That is crashing. Or otherwise fast tracking. What is the fast tracking? Now here this one before, and you can start like this. Now you see this is a excavation. Now they are doing the excavation. Now finish the excavation, you start concreting. Here, FS now, finish to start. ෆිනිෂ් කරලා එතනින් කොන්ක්‍රීට් එක පටන් ගත්තා. මෙයා මොකද කරන්නේ මේ පැත්ත එක්ස්කැවේට් කරපු පැත්ත කලින් පටන් ගන්නවා කොන්ක්‍රීට්. මේ පැත්ත කරගෙන යනකොට ඉතුරු ටික කරනවා. So what is you fast tracking? Perform activities in parallel. You didn't wait until finish. ඉවර ටික දැම්මා. So you can do that. Some activities you can do, some activities you can't. So this is you call fast tracking. This is crashing, fast tracking. So for the crashing, what you have to do is you need more resources. But what do you understand here? More resources mean your cost will go up. Here, what will happen? Your cost won't go up, but you have a risk. You increase the risk. මේකේ මොන හරි levels මොන හරි අවුලක් වෙලා මේවා කරන්න ඕනොත් එමය, but you have already concreted, so you have to remove that one. So you increase the risk in fast tracking, you increase the cost in crashing. So those are the things you have to understand. So crashing and fast tracking, I don't know, you just here it says risk and cost, those things. Then the PMIs, information system, include scheduling softwares. That the scheduling, the project management information system is, we are using the softwares. You don't want to, you will never do with the modeling, and everything will be done by softwares. Then other one is the release planning. Release planning provides high-level summary timeline to the release schedule, typically 3 to 6 months, based on this, no. Now here, agile planning, agile release planning, or iterative and whatever it is, in this system, පළවෙනි මාසය first 6 months you do the plan, your schedule. Then with this experience, agile release planning also determines the number of iterations. So sprint over the release and allow the product owner to team to decide how much need to be developed and how long it will take to have releasable product based on the business goals maker. Since features represent value to the customer, the timeline provides a more easily understood project schedule, as it defines which features will be available at the end of each iteration, which is exactly the depth of information the customer. When you take a product development, you can have releases, the first phase, second phase, third phase, like that. You first phase, you plan it, schedule it, you do it, get this experience, you deliver then you have some milestones, and also you have deliverables, key deliverables. Now if you put up say you are doing a aeroplane, you have the engine, so you have that part, you plan it and do it. Then you do the cabin, like that is your certain parts you can do. And this is release planning. So first time you do, you get the experience. The second one, likewise, that is the release planning. That is also technique you can do in, that's a tool. It's a tool you can do in this scheduling you can do by agile release planning. Also you can do, without doing the complete thing at once, you do the release planning, so that anything you can do. But those things are very important. Those things are very important tools. These are the tools we are going to use. So all these things are we can use. So leads and lag I didn't explain, so we did that one. So schedule compression, now we talk about PMIS. Yes, you may be using softwares, Excel, whatever it is. You have the technology. And agile release planning also you can do depending on the situation. You can select. We are not going to do the schedule for the whole thing, so we will be scheduling this part section by section. So you can decide on that. So these tools and techniques are very important. So what is important here is the precedence diagram and the calculations, because those are very important things. This course, this part is very important. And also resource leveling, resource smoothing, all these things are, you should understand all these things. These things are this data analysis, of course, yes, you should know, but here these things are very complicated. You can learn later, because these things are highly mathematical, and you should understand what is the purpose of it. That's enough. And also this is important, crashing and fast tracking. So that's all. So let's follow the session. I think session is and I want to and you will I will now you when you one thing. Did you understand that one? Which I did last? Hello. How are the others? Okay. Now I'll take some other thing. Now when you are getting ready for the exams, now your multiple choice. You have you have MCQ 20.
ඔස්ස අපිට පේනවා.
There are multiple choice තියෙනවා 20ක් තියෙනවා MCQ. එතකොට multiple choice 20 I have given තුනක් දීලා තියෙනව නේද? Tutorials.
ඔව් සර් 3ක් දීලා තියෙනවා.
Which you are expected to find answers by your own. Right? You have to find the answers by yourself. Because it's not that difficult. You have to go through the note. If I give the answers, no point. If I give the answers, because some of the questions you will get in the exam also. So I am not going to answer those things. You can find the answers. That is the target. So, and also, when you study, better you go through these very deeply. Collect requirements, process, so these things you have to concentrate more, learn more about the subject, and go to the PowerPoint presentations and work hard. So you won't be any problem. Even the multiple choice, you don't know. Now, morning you ask some questions. I think I will answer for that one only. Shall I remove this one? Shall I remove?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, no? Concentrate, Karanda. But now I will, somebody ask in the morning, no? Some questions.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Sir, එක tutorial එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බා. Which of the following is contained in the project charter but not the project scope statement?
Yeah.
Answers විදිහට දීලා තියෙන්නේ progressively appropriate project description, project purpose or justifications, acceptance criteria, project deliverables. So ඒකේ හරිම උත්තරේ acceptance criteria ද?
Question එක බලන්න බෑනේ.
So ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ which of the following is
පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න. මම ගාව තියෙනවා ගන්න. මේක ඔය අර මගේ ටියුටෝරියල්ස්ද?
ඔව් සර්.
ඉතින් ඒකනේ මම කිව්වේ ටියුටෝරියල්ස් මම ආන්සර්ස් දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. Tutorials you have to find the answers. Tutorials
ඒ
answers වැඩක් නැහැ.
ප්‍රශ්නේ ටිකක් මේ
Tutorials වලට answers දුන්නොත් වැඩක් නැහැ. ඒක මම දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ. What මොකද්ද කියන්නේ මම? Which of the following is contained in the project charter? But not the project scope.
ඔව් සර් ඒක. ඔව්.
Which of the following is contained in the project charter but not the project scope? එතකොට මේකෙදි මම ගන්න විදිහ කියන්නම්. Now which of the following is contained in the project charter? So you take the project charter but not in the project scope statement. So all these things are given in the මේක. ඔය දෙක ගත්තාම දෙකේම නැති එක හොයාගත්තා. මේකේ තියෙනවා අරගෙන නැති එක. Which of the following is contained in the project charter එකේ තියෙන project scope statement එකේ නැති එක මොකක්ද කියලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. You could take very clear in the note. note එකේ හදලා තියෙන්නේ.
ඔව් සර් දැන් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් chart එක මේ ඒ කියන්නේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් chart එක හදනකොට ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එකක් හදනවනේ.
ආ.
එතකොට ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එක ඇතුලේ තමයි තියෙන්නේ ස්කෝප් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක.
හරි. මේක මෙහෙම නැති කනේ අහන්නේ.
ස්කෝප් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එක තියෙන්නේ.
ආ.
ස්කෝප් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ප්ලෑන් එක ඇතුලේ තමයි ස්කෝප් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක තියෙන්නේ.
ඔව්. හරි.
ස්කෝප් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකේ නැතිව ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් chart එකේ නෑනේ.
Project charter එකේ නැති එක බලන්න. Project purpose or does the project progressively elaborated project description එක it is available now. It's in the project charter. Right? And also it contains in the project scope also. Scope statement එකේ තියෙනවා. ඒතර acceptance criteria, project deliverables, it is in the statement. Acceptable criteria, it is there. So likewise ඒ කියන්නේ එක එක අයින් කරගන්න ඕන අපි මොනවද නැත්තේ කියලා. දැන් ඔහොම ඒකින්ද ඒක බලලා නෝට් එක බලලා එක එක අයින් කරගන්න. You are just asking me the answers ඒකයි මේකට මම answers දෙන්න කැමති නෑ මේකට. එහෙම දෙන එක හරිත් නෑ අනිත් එක. මොකද ඕකෙන් සමහර question directly you are getting to the exam. ඒකින්ද මට උත්තර කියන්න බෑ ඕකේ. You have to find the answers. ඕකේ කියන්න බෑ. මම මල්ටිපල් එකේ කර කියන්නේ නැහැ කවුරුත් උත්තර. That is your effort. මම ඕකෙන් කීපයක් දාලා තිනවා your paper එකට. ඒකින්ද so therefore I am not going to answer. It's not good now. ඒක මම කියන්නේ නැත්තේ. මම අර උදේ කියපේක මම දැන් explain කරන්න. මේක අමාරු නෑ. මේක ගන්නකොට ඒකේ තියෙන ඔයගලන්ට ලේසි වෙන්න තමයි මම මේ කරන ඒවා මේ දාන්නේ උනට මට ඒකේ උත්තරයක් දෙන්න බෑ. මේ තමන් හොයාගන්න ඕනේ. You have to find out. ඕක එනවද මන් දන්නේ නැහැ. උනට මේකේ කීපයක් මන් දාලා තියෙනවා. මේ දුන්නේ ටියුටෝරියල්ස් වලින් දාලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මටත් මතක නැහැ උනට but it's not මේ හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. You try to find. Best thing is you try to find answers. මේක අමාරු නෑ හොයාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ එක්කෝ කෙලින් ඩිරෙක්ට්ලි හොයාගන්න උත්තරේ නැත්තම් එලිමිනේට් කරන්න. මේක වෙන්න බෑ මේක වෙන්න බෑ මේක වෙන්න කියලා එකක් ඉතුරු වෙනවා. දෙකේම තියෙනවා. දැන් මේකේ අහන්නේ progressively elaborated project description එක. project description එක තියෙනවද කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? project එකේ purpose එකයි justification එකයි කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? acceptance criteria එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? project deliverables මොකේද තියෙන්නේ? ඕක අර දැන් අපි ඕක ඔයාලට compare කරන් තියන්නේ scope statement එකයි charter එකයි. ඒ දෙක note එකේ very clearly තියෙනවා හරියටම. charter එකේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ? scope statement එකේ මොනවද content එක. මේ දෙක ගත්තාම මොකක්ද මෙයා කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකින්ද පොඩ්ඩක් එහෙම බලන්න මේ try කරන්න. හරි නේද? හරිද?
ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකේදී කතා කරන්නේ WBS එකයි WBS ඩික්ෂනරි එකයි.
නෑ එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. එහෙම කියන්න බලන්න ඔගේ description එක මේකෙදි charter එකේ මේකේ දීලා තියෙනවා pages දීලා ගණන් දීලා තියෙනවා විස්තර මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. charter එකේ තියෙනවා පිටු දෙකක විතර අන්තර්ගතය මොනවද කියලා. charter එකේ scope statement එක කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක බලන්න මේ හරියටම ඒකේ දීලා තියෙනවා statement එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. statement එකේ අන්තර්ගත වෙන්නේ මොනවද කියලා. ඒ ටික හරියට බැලුවා නම් ඔක හරියට පොඩි point එකක් තියෙන අල්ලන්න නැති ඔක. දැන් අර කලින් උදේ මයින් එකකින් ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇහුවා පොඩි දෙයක් තියෙන්නේ. පොඩි point එකක් මයින මේකක් අහුවෙන්නේ නැති එක විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒක අහුණා නම් කෝකෙද තියෙන්නේ කියලා මගෙන් එහුවා මොකද්ද? control scope මේකේද තියෙන්නේ අරකේද තියෙන්නේ කියලා හවනේ control scope එකේද validity එකේද කියලා හරිම simple අයි control එකේ එන්නේ කියන එක පොඩි point එකක් තියෙනවා දෙකේම බැලුවා ඒ වගේ තියෙන්නේ ඒක you have to gather that one it's not good no ඒකයි තව ටිකක් බලන්න try කරන්න තව time තියෙනවනේ බලලා ඔය ටික පාඩම් කරලා කොහොම හරි හොයාගන්න බලන්න හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන problems තියෙනවට මම ආයෙ ඕන session එකක් දෙන්නම් බලමු multiple එක නම් තමන් පුළුවන් තරම් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයගලන්ට එකතු වෙලා වුණත් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් හරිද give me 1 second hello can you see this
Yes, sir.
right somebody asked this question decomposition in the morning is it ඇහුවනේ කවුරු හරි
Oh, sir.
decomposition ඇහුවනේ හරි මේක මම කියන්න I will explain in decomposition now here this is the software product I am getting from the notes so you can go through again now you see there are three decomposition methods work package and project life cycle phases and deliverables major deliverables those are the three things that was directly asked in the last paper so that's one question then you ask about decomposition so this is the decomposition technique so here using phases projects like as the second level decomposition so second when you go through the second level you will see project management product requirement detailed design construct and testing so this is the life phases of a project this is a decomposition through phases so this is decomposition through packages these are packages standards system engineering those are packages so this is through the life cycle project management එක තියෙනවා product requirement එක ගන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ design එක කරනවා construction කරනවා testing කරනවා so this is the phases one after the other මේක කරලා තියෙන. එතකොට this is එතකොට මේ කියන using phases of the project life cycle as the second level of decomposition. Second level of decomposition මේ note එකේ තියෙනවා මේ ටික ඔක්කොම. Second level of decomposition යනවා life cycle එකට. ඒකලා කියනවා with the product and project deliverables inserted at the third level. Deliverables ටික third level එකේ තියෙනවා. මේ plan එක meet ඒවා ටික software එක තියෙනවා detail design එක software එකේ එනවා. User documentation, training program material, what deliverables. මේ detail design process එක ඉවර වෙනකොට අන්තිම දෙනේවා තමයි මේවා. Documentation, material, software, ඕවා ටික එනවා. ඊට පස්සේ construction වලදී අන්තිමට එන්නේ software, user documentation, මේක software product release එකක් නේ. User documentation, training program material. Integration testing වලත් ආපහු වෙන්නේ software එනවා, user documentation ඒවා තමයි testing after that. එතකොට deliverables තමයි මෙතන තියෙන third level එකේ. එතකොට අරකෙත් එහෙමයි. අර අනික exam paper එකේ තිබ්බෙත් එහෙමයි. දැන් මේකේ second level එකේ පැහැදිලිවම තියෙනවා phases, project life cycle කියලා phases. ඊට පස්සේ තියෙනවා product and project deliverables at the third level එකේ. දැන් අපි මේකේ level 3යි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වුණාට අපිට තව ඒවා තව කඩන්න පුළුවන්. 3 4 5 වගේ කඩන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙමත් වෙන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. දැන් මේකේ අපි පැහැදිලිව කියනවා ඒකත් කියලා තියෙනවා decomposition මේකේ තියෙනවා however මේකේ තියෙනවා as the work is decomposed to greater level of detail the ability to plan manage and control of the work is enhanced. However excessive decomposition can lead to non-productive management effort, inefficient use of resources, decreased efficiency in performing the work, and difficulty aggregating data over different level of the WBS. අපිට තව breakdown කරගෙන ගිය හැකි. ඒ වුණාට sometimes it will be at a waste of time and waste of material, waste of your resources. Sometimes it will be easy to calculate the cost and other thing, everything easy. Whatever we have to do as we want. As per the requirements. So now you see, you have 3 here. Likewise.
එතකොට මේ software product release 5.0 කියන එක පළවෙනි level එකද?
මෙහෙමයි කියන්නේ decomposition second මේක levels නේ ගන්න මෙහෙම ගන්න ඕනේ. මේක first level එක, second level එක. හරිද? මේක third level එක. මේවා මෙහෙම තිබ්බට එකයිනේ. ඕනනම් මෙහෙම දාන්නත් පුළුවන් මේක. මේ පැත්තට මෙහෙම හිටින්න. මේ ඉඩ නැතිඳ පල්ලෙහාට දැම්මා කියලා level වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේකෙන්ම කැඩිලා නේවනේ. මෙහෙම ඔහොම එනවා. මේකෙත් ඔහොම අන්න ඒ වගේ. හරි. එතකොට level 3යි මේකේ. එතකොට level 3 කියන්නේ මේ level 3යි 1යි 2යි 3යි second level එක තමයි decomposition level එකක්. first level එක item එක, second level එක decomposition, third level එක තමයි මේ deliverables ටික. ඉතින් මේ පල්ලෙහාට තිබ්බට මේක එක level එකට අඳින්න පුළුවන්. මොකද අන්තිමේදී එකෙන්ම නෙන්නේ. ඒකයි. එහෙම තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ විදිහමයි අර bridge construction මොකද්ද කලින් එකේ තින්නත් එහෙමයි. ඒතර ඒකේ හරිම සිම්පල් ආන්සර් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේකේ තියෙන අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩින් එකක් විතර. මේකේ දැනගන්න ඕන එක තමයි that what you have to understand is that there are 3 methods. එච්චරයි. 3 methods. මේක මම එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරා ක්ලාස් එකේදී. even through the work package එක ගන්න එකයි. එතකොට
එතකොට ඕකේ 4ක් තියෙන level අර කලින් එකේ.
මේක මෙහෙම ගන්න. ඔන්න මේක first second level decomposition එක. හරි. මේක third level. හරිනේ. මේක fourth level. හතරයි. මේක හතරයි. මේ levels, මේවා levels. 1 2 3 4. මේ දෙක ඉතින් කොහොමත් මෙහෙමනේ. කොහොමනේ එන්න ඕන. කොහොම ඉඳ නැතිඳ මේ පල්ලෙහාට දාන්න. එකෙන් level ගන්න වෙන. ඒවා මොදට බලලා ගන්න ඕන. 1යි 2යි 3යි 4යි.
සර් එතකොට third level එකේ තියෙන work packages නේ දෙවෙනි එකේ තියෙන decomposition
නෑ එහෙම කියන්න එපා. හැම වෙලෙම third level එකේ work packages කියන එක ගන්න එපා. don't take like that. එහෙම වෙන්න බෑ. හතරක් ගියොත් එහෙම පහක් ගියොත් ඒකයි මම ඒ උදේත් කිව්වේ network එක බලලයි decide කරන්න ඕන. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි දන්නේ මොනවද work packages කියන්නේ මොකද්ද?
සර් network එක බැලුවම මේ අන්තිමේට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ලාස්ට් එක work package නේද sir?
ඔව් අන්තිමට එන්න ඒක දැන් හොඳට ඔබ පැහැදිලි කරන්න මම කියන්නේ note එක ඇහෙනවනේ. Okay, it's in the note. ඕක හොඳට තියෙනවා ඔන්න බලන්න. Decomposition is a technique used for subdividing the project scope and project deliverables into smaller, more manageable parts. The work package is the work defined at the lowest level. Note එක කියලානේ. Work package is the work defined at the lowest level of the WBS for each cost and duration can be estimated and managed. එතකොට අන්තිම level, the level of decomposition is often guided by the degree of control needed to the level of details work packages will vary the size and complexity of the project. මේකේ නම් නේ වැදගත්. ඒ කියන්නේ structure may be treated through the various approaches. මෙතන මේ විතරත් ඔය bottom up approach කියන කියනවා මේ. The WBS කඩන එකේ the reason of that is you can have a bottom up approach. We learn in the morning. ඒ වගේ. right? Decomposition no upper WS level into lower level detail component. Developing and assigning identification codes to that's a procedure. It was like again, the make it අන්තිමට කියනවා. Decomposition of the upper level WBS components require subdividing the work for each and deliverable and subcomponents into small fundamental components. Where the WBS component, I think, structure as an outline. මේක තියෙන ඔක්කොම ටික. ඔච්චර ගොඩක් දැනගන්න මේක නිකන් අදහස තියාගන්න තුනක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තුනෙන් මෙන්න මේ විදිහට යන්නේ. මේ විදිහට level ගත්තාම මේ විදිහට ගන්න. ඉතින් level එක බලන්න ඕන. දැන් මේකේ දැන් අපිට මෙන්න මේක ගත්තාම මේක පේනවනේ software product release එකකදී මෙන්න මේවා phases තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද? product requirement එක එකතු කරගන්න ඕන. detail design එක කරන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ software එක construct කරන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ test කරන්න ඕන. This is the process now. Then මොකද්ද? product requirement එක ගත්තාම product requirement ගන්නකොට software එක මොකද්ද? user documentation මොනවද? training ඕවා තමයි output එක. product requirement එකේ. අපි එකතු කරගත්තේ output නේවා. requirement එක එකතු කරපුවාම මෙන්න output documentation මොනවද? training pro ඒවා එකතු කරගත්තා. ඒවා තමයි deliverables අපි. ඊළඟට detail design process we develop the software, user documentation, training program or developer design කරනවා. Then you construct those things. ඒවම තමයි construct කරනවා. ඒවා තමයි deliverable construction phase එකේදී. ඊට පස්සේ test කරනවා. test කරන්නේ QA. එතකොට එතනදී deliverables තමයි tested constructs ටික. එතකොට මේවා deliverables. You see in phases. ඔව් තමයි ඉන්නේ. අමාරු නෑ. ඒක මේ කඩපාඩම් කරන්න කියලා බෑ. එතනදී ඒක networking understand කරන්න මොනවද මේ product requirements ගත්තාම software මොනවද කියලා එකතු කරගත්තා. ඕන softwares මොනවද අපි details ගත්තා. user documentation මොනවද එකතු කරා. training pro ඒවා deliverables. product requirement එකේ deliverables ටික මෙන්න. ඊට පස්සේ you go to the detail design, you design the software. You design the user documentation, design the training program material. Then you construct the software. හදනවා. එක හදනවා. Then user documentation ටික you prepare කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ physically හදනවා. ඊට පස්සේ training programs ටික materialize කරනවා. හදනවා. Integration you test it. software එක test කරලා බලනවා. user documentation okay ද කියලා බලනවා. පාවිච්චි කරලා training programs okay ද කියලා මේ ground එකේ මේවා කරලා බලනවා. Those are the things you have to know. ඒක ඉච්චර අමාරු දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. ඒකයි මම කියේ ඕවා ටිකක් logically හිතන්න ඕන project management වල මේ පාඩම් කරනවා. third phase මේකයි fourth phase එහෙම බෑ. third phase නේ fifth phase වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට එහෙම තමයි හිතන්න. right? හරිද? okay. පැහැදිලිද?
ඔව් සර්.
ඊළඟට now දැන් හරිද ඔය ටික ඕකනේ ඇහුවේ ඊට පස්සේ මයෙන් අර උදේ ඇහුවා question එකක් ඒකේ තව එක්කෙනෙක් ඇහුවා කවුරු හරි මොකක්ද control scope එකද මේක තමයි දැන් ඔයකේ මම multiple choice questions වල මම හොඳ දෙයක් කියන්නම් multiple choice questions උත්තර ටික හොයාගන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ එකතු වෙලා හරි කමන්නේ හොඳට මේවා කරලා ඒවා ටික මේ theory කෙලිම theory නේ theory can you try to get the answers, so that is your effort. So this one then now I said there are certain areas you have to study, you study those areas, so you will getting a question from those areas, so you study those things. And today I did a very important 2 lessons I think you have understand. You don't want to study hard, no. Now you understood. You recently studied, no. So you don't worry about that. You try to study other things. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අපි හිතමු ඕකේ දැන් එක එක study කරනකොට දැන් අපි හිතමු දැන් මොකක් හරි define කරන්න කියනවා. You are asked to define something. Process එකක්. Then what are the important of that? ඔය වගේ ටිකක් අර මේවා ටික බලන්න කියවගන්න. එතකොට there's nothing to worry about. කොහොම හරි you work through the last paper, similar pattern you're getting. No different. Other thing, you don't worry about that. Any practical problems, I'm not going to ask. Even last time I asked one practical question, so this time I'm not going to ask directly from the theory. If you learn the material theory, you can answer the questions because you are not experienced people. No, we have no experience in project management, so I am not going to ask you any practical problems. So I am only asking from the theory. If you read the note, if you know the theory, you can answer. But හොඳට කියවලා logically කියවලා ඔළුවට දාගන්න එච්චරයි. ඒකේ ඔය sections ටික හොඳට බලාගන්න එච්චරයි. ඔය දුන්න sections හොඳට බලාගන්න multiple choice questions ටික කරන්න, you will get through. No problem. There's no problem. Multiple MCQs, you try to find the answers. There's no problem. Finding answers is easy because directly from the, but logically think, but the connect control scope, the validate scope. But there's a became the, but you see the difference. What is that? Very easy. Became the, කොතනින්ද measurement ඉන්නේ? කොතනින්ද ඉවර වෙන්නේ? Measurement is the final thing. So you check what it is. So it's easy. So if you have any problem, you can contact me later. No problem. Okay. Anything? Okay, I'm going to discuss that one. Wait for a moment. So you see the did I give the answer script to you? I think I sent the answer script. Do you see both? Do you see? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Pena.
Also pen.
Deka pena.
Oh, pen. එකකින් භාගයේ සහ හැබැයි පේන්නේ.
හරි හරි මම ඔන්නලට ගන්න. කවන්න. දැන් මේකේ questions තියෙන මොනවාද? මම හිතන්නේ මම answer script එකත් එව්වා. ඒ එව්වේ දැන් මේ මම නිකන් ඉස්සලා කියන්නම් මේකේ බලන්න. මෙන්න මේක question එක. This is the question. This is the answer. answer එකට ගා කියන්නේ නැහැ. There's nothing to write. එක මම මේක ඩිස්කස් කරන්නම්. එතකොට ඊළඟට I show this one also. No. This is the question 5 precedence diagram. See, you will see question is about 2 pages. You see the answer. This one. The answer. Those are the theory part. Writing this one. See, all what you have learned. Nothing without any time. The critical path identification. So those are easy things. So theory, most of them. This is the this compression we learned today. So crashing, fast tracking, simple things we are seeing. So I don't think it's a difficult paper. Paper is very easy. Thing is you learn something. Then I don't think it's a, so this one, the third question. It's there no enterprise and these things you can write no enterprise environment factors and organize OPA are common in the inputs of defined scope, and I am writing certain things to give some idea. Question is explain briefly what you would understand by those two terms. You are getting 9 marks. What is EF and what is OPA? It's simple. So here, what is the answer? I will tell you how to write also. Now the answer is this. Enterprise environment factor can be internal and external to the organization. For instance, culture, structure, governance, infrastructure, capabilities are internal organization. Out of these factors, organization, culture, infrastructure, personal administration, and marketplace conditions, those are completely from the norm. මේක මෙහෙමම ලියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේක මෙහෙමම ලියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. එතකොට මේකේ ඔයාට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මොනවද ඔයගලන්ට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා විතරයි. ඊට පස්සේ within organization process assets are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases specific to the use of the performing organization. Organization process asset may be grouped into 2 categories. Procedures, corporate, vertical. ඊට පස්සේ policies, procedures, OPA, EF. I think enterprise environment factors can be internal or external. EF කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? OPA කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ ටික ඔක්කොම ලියනොලිවට අදහස එනවනම් එච්චරයි. What is EF? What is OPA? EF එකක් කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? organization එක. OPA කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඒක ගැන අවබෝධයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට ඒක ලිව්වහම ඊට පස්සේ මේව ඔක්කොම තියරිය. නෝට් එකෙන් තමයි කෙලින්ම. උත්තර ඔක්කොම නෝට් එකේ. ඊට පස්සේ enterprise එක හරි 9 marks නේ. ඒතකොට 9 marks කියන්නේ ටිකක් පිළිවෙලකට ලියන්න වෙනවා. මොකද ප්‍රශ්න එකේ you are getting 9 out of the 20 no. So you are getting more. The මේක section මම මේ papers මගේ method එක මම තමයි මේ විදිහට papers හදන්න පටන් ගත්තේ. I am giving sections and giving marks for each. So if you don't know this section, you can earn from marks from this section. That is why I give it like this. This one. So you are getting 9 marks for this explanation. This is the theory part. So for get 9 marks, you have to write something. So you should know. Then decomposition is a technique used for dividing and subdividing the project scope and project deliverables into small and more manageable parts. Here, I am giving some explanation. Usually, the second level decomposition decides your approach to decomposition. Second level decomposition is a approach decide karna. List down 3 practical approaches. Very simple. Second level lekin tamai decide karna. Monada process and so yeah. I think decomposition through work packages. Decomposition. I mean, second level lekedi make decide karane. Decomposition through phases and project level. Decomposition through major level. So oka tamai api tunak ingana gatte. Eka it is in the note. ඊළඟට අය අහනවා එකට 5 marks දෙනවා. But you see, just to write මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ලියලා තියෙන්නේ උඩින් නිකන් ලියලා තියෙනවා විතරයි. උන්නට අහන්නේ list down the approaches of second level decomposition. 5 marks. මේ තුන ලිව්වා නම් පටස් ගාලා මතකෙන් you get 5 marks without spending much time. Then identify the second level decomposition approach of WA given. What is the second level decomposition එක මේකේ identify කරන්න. මොකද්ද? මේ තුනේ මේකේ මොකද්ද ක්‍රමය කියලා. එකට 3 marks හම්බෙනවා. මේ තියෙන second level decomposition approach is decomposition through the phases of the project life cycle. මෙන්න මේක. Sorry. මේකේ බලන්න තියෙන්නේ project management, data collection, detail design, construction. Phases ටිකනේ යන්නේ. You do this, then next this. Then. So this type of question is in the your note also. Then now I explain phases. So second level go to the phases, third level go to the deliverables. එක මේකේ අහනවා ඊළඟට අහනවා ඊළඟට 5 marks. Identify the second level decomposition through WA එක දානවා 3 marks. What does the third level decomposition shows? It is make a clearly එක ලියලා තියෙනවා. තුන්වෙනි level එකේ මොකක්ද අපිට පෙන්නන්නේ? ඒක තියෙනවා third level decomposition shows the output of the each phase of the project. Survey plan, investigation report and hydrological reports are the deliverables of the data collection and investigation phases. Similarly, hence we can see the third level of the WA structure shows the project ලියන්න ඕනත් නැහැ. මම අර complete උත්තරයක් ලියන්න වෙනද ඔක හැදුවේ. මෙන්න මේකේ third level කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? third level එකම planning, meeting, administration, surveying මේවා ටික ඔක්කොම මේවා මොනවද? These are deliverables. Data collection and investigation එකේ outputs තමයි මේවා. Data collection and investigation එකේදී අන්තිමේදී survey plan එකක් හදනවා. Investigation report එකක් හදනවා. Hydrological report එක එනවා. Planning එනවා, meetings ඔය වගේ මේකේ මේ detail design එකේ අන්තිම foundation එක හොයා ගන්නවා. Substructure එක design කරනවා. Super මේවා these are the deliverables. Third phase is the other deliverables. එතකොට that is the question. It's not a difficult thing. You understand this මේක අදහස් කරන the bridge project එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකේ මේක define කරලා තියෙන phases වලින්. එකක් ඉවරලා එකක් data collection investigation ඊට පස්සේ detail design ඊට පස්සේ construction. So phases වලින් යනවා. So you have to understand that. එහෙමයි මේ problem එක understand. තේම මේක නැති අමාරු නෑ. IT වල the critical path මේක ඉස්සලාම් කරන මේ වගේ network එකක් ගත්තාම මේ network එක දාලා තියෙනනේ ඔක්කොම. මේ network එකේ ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ early start, early finish, late start, late finish, duration, float. ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙනවා. ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙනවා. critical path එක කිව්වම පටස් ගාලා පේනවනේ critical path එක මොකක්ද කියලා. නේ? Zero float, zero float, zero float, zero float, zero float. Okay. ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම දීලා ප්‍රශ්න අහනවා ඉතින්. මේක identify the critical path. ඉතින් what activities have the free float? Free float තියෙන්නේ මොනවද බලන්න. 5 5 13 13 16 16 21 21 5 5 9 20 ගන්න මෙතන තියෙන free float එක. මේක 9 ඉවර කරාට 21 තමයි පටන් ගන්න වෙන්නේ. That's a free float. DNF. So you can do this. ඊට පස්සේ මෙතෙන්ට ආවට පස්සේ resources, over the allocation of resources in the chart, carry out resource leveling. Resource leveling කරන්න කියන්නේ. මේක ඉතින් බලන්න අරකමයි same thing. විභාගෙට දීලා තියෙන්නේ. X 8යි නේ. activity B ඊළඟට Y 8ක් ඕන. ඉතින් මේක අඳින්න ඕන. කොටුව. ඇදලා බාන්ට එක දවසේ 16ක් විතර ඉනවා ටික තල්ලු කරලා දාලා ඒ කෝකද ඊට පස්සේ මේක දෙනවා මං හිතන්නේ. මේක ඇති මේ sequence එක දීලා තියෙන සුජිනේ. Oh allocation activity C cannot start until activity A and activity B complete. ඒ කියන්නේ A B ඉවරලා C කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට A ටික තියෙනවා නම් මේක adjust කරන්න පුළුවන්. Same problem. So you can do it. දැන් මේක මොකද්ද? Very simple. Crash ඉඳ මොකද්ද කියලා අහන්නේ. So I don't think it's a difficult questions. If you know the subject, only thing is multiple MPS MCQs. You have to go find the answers, and then you will your memory will be. If you find the answers, it's easy. Okay. Read this one again and work out with your drawing type. Then you won't get confused in the exam because මේක මෙතන තියෙන විදියයි අපි අඳින විදියයි වෙනස් හින්දා අපේ එකට දාගන්න මේ විදිහට එකක් අඳින්න. මෙන්න මේක අඳින්න. මෙන්න මේක අන්තිම එක ඇඳලා ඔක්කොම දාන්න. මෙන්න මේක ඇඳලා you try to draw this. Draw this one. මේක නෑ ඒක නෑ. You do this one. මේක අරගෙන අරව ටික දාන්න. data දාගෙන යන්න අලුත් විදියට ඇඳලා. Right. Are you okay?